Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Momentum's Wiise Customer Connect event for November 2024. My name's Emery. For those who don't know me, Managing Director at Momentum Software Solutions, and I'm coming to you from the cloudy Sunshine Coast. We've got people on the call from all around Australia. So thanks for joining us. I'm sure there'll be a few more people jumping on as we get started, because we're starting pretty much bang on time. So I'll take you through our agenda for this morning. Before I do, most of you would already be aware of this, but online meeting etiquette does help in terms of a nice smooth presentation. So please make sure your microphone is muted if you're not speaking. It just helps stop any background noise coming through when the presenters are speaking. Feel free to use the chat box or raise your hand if you do have any questions. And feel free to do that throughout the presentation. We are recording our presentation today, and a copy of that will be made available to you all once we are done. So our agenda for today is a quick welcome and a few messages from myself. And then we've got a whole bunch of content that our team and the Wiise team are going to present to you. So really our main objective from sessions like this is to impart knowledge to our customers around what cool stuff is coming in Wiise, and to a reasonable extent what is already there that you may or may not be taking advantage of yet. So it's very much an informative session, not a sell. And we hope you really take away some learnings from this morning's session. So we have Hamish Browne, CTO of Wiise, who's going to be taking you through Wiise Product Update, Roadmap, and a whole bunch of stuff. So thanks for joining us, Hamish. We have an interview with one of our recent customers, Trent MacDonald from Queensland Mine Rescue Service, which is a really interesting discussion around his journey moving from his previous solution to Wiise. We have Glenda Jones, our senior consultant from our Wiise team, who'll be taking you through a number of the Wiise new features, but a live demo of how to use them. And then we have Richard Hensby from Continia Software, who will be talking about their document management, document recognition solutions. And plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So just a few key messages from myself from a Momentum perspective, some of which you may not be aware of. So Momentum, we've been in business about 16 years, and we started on the Sunshine Coast where I live. But over the last few years in particular, we've expanded all around Australia. So we have consultants in all of the capital cities of Australia, and a few regionally as well in Cairns and Mackay. So we're very much a national organisation with customers in every state. Most of our customers are in Queensland, but a growing number in other states as well. So we can represent and implement and support Wiise and Business Central throughout Australia. A few nice milestones that we achieved in the last 12 months. So we were awarded the Wiise Non-Profit Partner of the Year award earlier this year, which was really exciting for us to receive, and a great acknowledgement for our team for their expertise implementing into non-profit styled organisations. We expanded our consulting team, particularly in New South Wales, where we now have 7 people. And South Australia, we have 3 people, WA and Victoria as well. We have over 275 customers on various ERP platforms all around Australia, so we're a high growth business. Completed over 40 ERP implementations in the last 12 months, so we always have a lot of implementations on the go. Right now it's over 50 implementation projects, so we've got a very busy project management and implementation team. and growing, as well as our support and consulting teams and developers. So we now have close to 45 people in our business, and well over 30 are accredited ERP consultants. Ticked over our 16th year in business, so I'm not ready to retire yet, and yeah, won a number of awards. So certainly developing our expertise in the Wiise platform, and that's something that we're very focused on. It's the highest growth part of our business right now, and we expect that to continue over the next 3 to 5 years. So now I'd like to introduce Hamish Browne. Hamish is Chief Technology Officer of Wiise, and he's got a bunch of exciting developments to share with you. Over to you, Hamish.
Thank you, Al. Yes, so as I say to everyone, I'm one of the co-founders, so I'm part of the furniture at this point. But probably more importantly, the buck stops with me when it comes to product in Wiise. So feel free to direct any questions or any requests for information to me, and I'm happy to engage with people after as well. So I'm just going to share my screen at this point. There we go. Hopefully you can all see that. And the first thing that I really want to kick off with today is talking about the upgrade to Wiise 2.0. For those of you who don't know, Wiise 2.0 is a significant upgrade of Wiise software, but also sitting on a really the public cloud offering from Microsoft Business Central. And it has allowed us to bring in a number of benefits, and really everything, the theme of today is everything I'm going to present to you is Wiise 2.0, right? And because that's where we're investing our new IP, our new products, our new features. And you can see this is sort of a summary of what I'm going to show to you today in terms of where we're adding these new features. So Wiise Insights, Wiise Collect, Wiise Warehouse on Time, the Wiise Copilot project customers, Wiise for NDIS, which is a new offering in development, subscription billing, and we're going to show off some of the Microsoft features for the new version of Business Central as well, but also focusing on the Power BI dashboard reporting. So Al has probably cajoled any customers who haven't moved to 2.0 to do so. I would only reiterate that the sooner you do that upgrade, the sooner that you'll unlock all these features that you'll see today. And again, if you have any questions about that, just feel free to reach out to me. So let's get into what's been recently released, because really there's a tale here, and it goes around what our thinking is in terms of Wiise and where we invest our time and experience in terms of developing new features. So really, as part of the ecosystem where we're sitting on top of Business Central, we see 4 key value chains in terms of where we'll decide to put into new product. So financial operations, fairly straightforward. Supply chain, also fairly straightforward. Actionable insights, so things like reporting and dashboards, KPIs, the Copilot, which we'll demonstrate, and then fast start. How do we work with momentum with you customers or even prospects to get new features and get installation up and running quicker, right? And that's really the 4 pillars to where we come from. So if we come back here, I'm going to basically cover off what we've recently released, and pretty much everything here is in the last 3 months, right? So we have Yodlee bank feeds. We've done an integration with Binary Stream Multi-Entity Management, which is a very large third-party app for Business Central that allows streamlining of multiple companies. We have insights in terms of Wiise timesheets and Wiise payroll insights, which are going to show that. We've got our Warehouse on Time, our mobility app. Again, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but we've made changes there. We've released both the Wiise Copilot and Command Center, and then we've also done an NDIS chart of accounts, which has been given the tick of approval by KPMG, of which we are a part, right? So that's just a high-level overview of the last 3 months, but I think it's probably worthwhile to get into some of these in further detail. So the Wiise Command Center really has become a one-stop shop for Wiise-related features and Wiise-related learnings in basically an app, a website that any of our customers can log in and take advantage of, right? So basically all the learning for different roles, so role-based learning is being put in terms of Wiise Academy. We basically have all the latest news in terms of our releases, in terms of system updates. We pride ourselves on being more responsive on system updates than Microsoft are. We jump on issues really quick, and you can go there at any time. We have our generalized Wiise learning, which is how-to guides and descriptions of features, release notes I've covered off, but also the market insights, which is a new feature we've just turned on, which is really just about giving leveraging our relationship with KPMG to get information about what's happening out there in various industries, obviously inventory, non-for-profit, that side of things. So you'll notice there's a little bell icon. So I'll be sharing that deck with everybody here today. So there's a lot of information, and we'll be able to share those URLs with you, but we'll show you how to do the command center. Wiise Copilot. So this is my baby. I love it dearly, and we're very proud that in the last couple of months we've been able to release it. So in terms of AI, there's obviously been a lot of talk in the last couple of years, and our sense that people are probably at a stage where they're sick of hearing about it to some extent. But for us, it's just the beginning of something, right? And I think that's probably an important way to frame it. We have a range of copilots that we are working on for our customers, right? And it's leveraging, obviously, the Microsoft ecosystem. Microsoft and OpenAI are the world leaders at the moment. There's a lot of competition, but in terms of where they're at, they're ahead of the game. And so the very first part of one of these pillars that we've released is Wiise Copilot. What is Wiise Copilot? Wiise Copilot is around having Wiise and Business Central information put into a OpenAI large language model for those technically minded, but the end result is a Copilot where you can ask it specific questions to Business Central and specific questions to Wiise, and it will come back. So it's hand-rolled, and we see it as a virtual assistant. Here's a nice little page about it, but I'm feeling risky. So what I'm actually going to do is come in here and actually show how it works. I will say up front that it can be, and this is a Microsoft issue that they're dealing with at the moment, it can take a few seconds to basically give a response, but it has been improving. Microsoft are turning on 3 data centers every week at the moment, and it's around AI. So the demand for this type of stuff is incredible. So I'm here in the Wiise Copilot. This is available separately, i.e. externally to Business Central and Wiise, but also it is within Wiise itself. And I can basically go ahead and I can ask anything related to the BC ERP or to Wiise Copilot, and it will basically come back. And it's using our learning documents and the Microsoft learning documents as a reference to how to answer a question, right? So you can see here how I asked it how to set up posting groups and what they do. And it's really surprisingly accurate, or not surprising, really. We take a KPMG approach to AI in terms of what we call the trusted AI model. So we have a lot of checks and balances in terms of the data that it is importing, and it cannot use data external to that. So if I asked it how high Mount Everest is, it wouldn't be able to answer that. But realistically, for an end user that really just wants to know how to do a function, how do I do a month end? I can go ahead and ask that. it will basically give very accurate and very detailed information about that. So you can see basically it took about 4 to 5 seconds there, but the information it's giving is invaluable. So that is just our first foray really into AI. In terms of Copilot, for us, that's basic utility, right? It's a glorified wizard. But where we want to get to is have the Copilot know who the user is using secure authentication and being able to use agency to get them to perform day-to-day activities within Wiise, right? That's where it really starts to add value, right? So we have got an AI team which is working on building that functionality out right now. I'm talking too long about this. So let's go on. We also have a new division within Wiise called the Solution Acceleration Team. This is a team that is basically using the low-code and Power Platform Microsoft infrastructure to allow us to iterate and get new features out to customers quicker. We have 2 examples of this, which I'm about to go into, being project quoting and customer portals. And really what these are features that we hear that are needed by a lot of customers. And we've been having lots of conversations with Momentum about especially these 2 specific features. And we build a toolkit quickly to put in the hands of partners like Momentum to allow them to finish the last 20% for specific customers, right? So in things like project quoting, and both of these are live now, we have a Power App that is connected directly into Wiise that allows tradies and people out in the field to go and do project quoting, pull items out of BC, pull customers out of Wiise, and place a quote really efficiently, which will then get sucked into jobs and quoting and projects within Wiise, right? Really lightweight, works well on mobile, works well on tablet. It's fat finger friendly. Want to make sure I get that pronunciation right. But it's just a great example of the utility we could sort of do that. So that's sitting there, which Momentum have access to, and any customer who's interested in that could speak to Al and the team and start getting that running. The other one is our customer portal, which is really a B2B portal for your customers. Right, so it can be rapidly branded to you and allows things like invoicing, ordering, order tracking, accounts receivable. And again, we've created the framework, we've created all the nuts and bolts and everything under the hood, which is, and this is a solution that's actually using Power Pages. And it's the same sort of functionality in terms of connects directly to Wiise and then has a self-service portal basically for your customers. And the great thing is they don't need Business Central licensing to access that, right? So there's a lot of value in these sort of what we call low-code innovations, right? So yes, so they're both released, and Momentum can help out there. I am going to talk about another one of our babies that we're very proud of, and that's Wiise Warehouse on Time. So warehouse mobility, it's solving a very big problem that we have heard again and again from customers and from partners, and that is we have a great seamless electronic workflow right up until the point of the warehouse door, right? And then suddenly pieces of paper start getting, picking slips, start dropping behind the old ZigJet printer, and really it's a bottleneck. And so really for us, it was a very key focus as far as, 2 years ago to really build a compelling product that places in the hands of warehouse users and warehouse workers something that is usable, something that frankly the UX is better than anything else out in the market, if you ask me, but I'm biased. And really it is answering a lot of different use cases around warehouse movements and the types of activities that happen in the warehouse, right? Obviously, the impact of the manual transactions, and those of you who are inventory businesses, is around lost productivity, inaccurate ordering, or inaccurate stock valuation, and that all leads on to unhappy customers, right? So where are we at today? We have receipts put away, picks, shipping, stock taken adjustment, transfers is coming in this month, production and assembly, item lot tracking, item and bin lookup. I could give a whole demo on this, don't have time for that. You can see the screens on the right. Lex, actually, I might put you on the spot because you were talking earlier about, where this came about in terms of the customers that we found was a sweet spot for this type of product.
Yeah, thanks, Hamish. So good question. There are a number of warehouse management solutions out there in the market, of course. And when we were developing Warehouse on Time, we made a very deliberate choice to not try and copy those other software products. And the reason for it is that our customers weren't necessarily needing all of that capability. So for a variety of reasons, whether it be that they were coming from using paper processes in the warehouse, or they had some, very just, potentially just a scanning software solution and nothing else. What people were asking for was something that gave them just the capability, as Hamish said, to digitize their warehouse and start running it as efficiently as they were their financials. So it's really about where our customers have that unmet need. And we can, provide them a solution that's actually, I shouldn't say free, because the way we like to say it is it's included in the cost of a subscription. But, to Hamish's point, it's fantastic because it works on any mobile device. So if you've got, if you're hiring a whole bunch of people to come in for 2 months and do stock take when you've got a quiet period, they can use their phones for this. It's fantastic. Anyway.
Yeah, great. Yeah. iOS and Android, and it really is a solution built for bring your own device. Al, I see you light up. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I'll probably just add to what Lex has mentioned that not all ERPs have their own WMS or barcode scanning solution, and often those that do, it's what you would call very light, which you could also interpret as not that good. But at the other end of the scale, you can have third-party developed WMS solutions which are very, very sophisticated, but completely externally developed, reliant on APIs, and at times they need to make sure that they're maintained with the latest version of the software and the latest API. So I think the beauty of Wiise doing it is Wiise are the vendor. So they've got, more in-depth knowledge of the underlying architecture of Wiise than anybody else to make this work. And I agree entirely that sort of hit the sweet spot in terms of what do most people need, and not just do it in a basic way, but do it in a very a strong way. So to us, it's quite compelling, and it's part of the license investment already. So there's no extra cost other than some setup and training.
Yeah, great. So while you were talking there, I put up on the screen all the Business Central supported documents, and the two of the last bits that have been missing from the loop have been transfer orders and warehouse shipments. So they're being released this following month. So we're excited about that. And I'm not going to go into all this. These are the different setups within your warehouse that is supported. What I will say is we're actually developing right now a warehouse assessment checklist tool. So you can have that in Business Central and Wiise, and you can hit a button and it will go through and say, these are all the things you still need to set up to have warehouse mobility, because we really want people we really want to reduce the friction of people starting to use this. So yeah, really good. So what does it mean? Reducing the errors, saving hours of admin, shipping more orders in less time, shipping accurate orders, right? And that's about keeping customers happy. So yeah, we're very happy about that. Transfer orders is obviously one of the features we're bringing out that I just mentioned. So if you have multiple locations, or if you have a mobile workforce, if you have a lot of tradies or field agents out there that are actually having stock, then this is a great tool because it will actually give you visibility on the stock in transit, right? So that is coming out in December as well. So that's all there. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Wiise features. This is now about the new Business Central features that have just come out in the last 2 months, right? For those customers who don't know, twice a year, Microsoft call a wave 1 and a wave 2, where they bundle a whole lot of new features into the BC product and basically put them out. So to summarize, we basically have a lot of financial supply chain improvements. There's a new Shopify connector improvements. Subscription billing is a big one for those with recurring billing, and I'll touch a little bit on that. And really, I will send you all to a link called the Microsoft Release Planner so you can see these in detail. I don't have time to go through these today, but we've got things like updated documentation on financial improvements, including GST and VAT, having multiple GST and VAT, and having default dimensions, supply chain, directed location with projects. Microsoft are building out the projects module, what they used to call jobs, which I think most of your customers probably know it within Wiise. So the ability to create purchase orders directly from a project, really just activities like that. It's very clear that they're going to build that out more, right? We're seeing that focus, and they've basically said the same thing to us. We're very lucky, because we're like the first guinea pig in the world to put together cloud ERP for Microsoft, and I'm literally the first. We have a very good relationship with them, which means we can sometimes get a little bit of a head start on where they're putting their investments in. There's some tools here, which I think may be being shown later. I don't know if Glenda's showing this or not, but there's drag and drop attachments, things like the new searching tool, which is great. It's just quality of life features that really just, that just shows that they're investing in the product, right? Subscription billing. So basically contracts with billing schedules, being able to create sales invoices with them, having items on sales and creating service objects. So I know for a fact Microsoft bought this IP from a partner. That's fine because they're taking ownership of it, and I would rather they find something that's best in market, which is what they've done. And the subscription billing feature is probably one of the biggest features that they have released in, I think, a decade, honestly. So there is a Microsoft Learn link again in the PowerPoint, which I'll share with you because I could spend another hour, I could spend another 5 hours going into that, right? But it's a huge new feature. The one that I am going to talk about, though, is the Power BI connector. This is finally Microsoft realizing that they had something that is huge. And I'll let Lex talk about its positioning and actually leveraging it for Wiise and Business Central customers. But Lex, maybe you could give a bit of context about the Microsoft BI play.
Sure, thank you, Hamish. So what you're seeing on screen is a Gartner quadrant. I would expect most people to be unfamiliar with Gartner, but they're a global analyst firm that look at software offerings across multiple vendors in many categories. This particular category is around business intelligence platforms, and this quadrant came out in June this year. The way the quadrant works is if you look up the left-hand axis, you have the ability to execute. So down the bottom is, platforms that might have a good idea, but they don't particularly deliver that well. And the axis from left to right is the completeness of vision. So in the space of business intelligence, when you think about the vision there, a platform with great vision is business intelligence that can span your business, like span enterprise, and be a very broad platform of business intelligence. So pretty important to understand that, because there's a lot of vendors out there doing business intelligence, and some have a wonderful vision, but they can't actually execute. So you'd wonder what the point would be with those guys. But Microsoft have sat up there in that top right quadrant for quite a long time. So Power BI has been sort of this potentially unrecognized star of the Microsoft platform. Is an incredibly powerful tool. And it also it comes in this category of what they call an application layer BI. And what that means is, because Microsoft have so many products themselves, from Office 365 right through to Business Central, what they've done with Power BI is allow it to be deeply integrated into any one of those solutions. And then on top of that, they've opened it up so that it can plug into external solutions as well. So it's offering you a kind of a one-stop place to do business intelligence. So that's kind of why it's super important to understand that you've got this at your fingertips. So if you've got a Wiise subscription, you already have a free user level access to Power BI included in that subscription. So that's interesting. What's more interesting is that in this release, Microsoft has gone a whole, I'm going to say one step, I reckon they've got about 100 steps into the future, and they have built a connector and embedded Power BI reports into Business Central and Wiise. Back to you, Hamish.
Thanks, Lex. Yeah. If I had $1 for every customer that want to do Power BI or the dashboards, from phase one, it's like, we've got to build it, or we're going to get a third party, or and that can has been pushed down the road for a lot of customers for a long time. So Microsoft went, okay, this is silly. Like, we've got a great BI tool, we've got the ERP. What we need to do is close the connection, right? So as like most things, when they move, they move a lot. So there is 65 new reports being released for Power BI that natively integrate into Business Central and Wiise, right? It is an extraordinary lift and shift. They have been working on this as a secret project for, we know that it's been probably about 18 months. And these reports, as Lex says, with the free plan, you can view them. And you can embed them into BC and Wiise, or you can literally just go to a Power BI page if you have secure access, right? So let me just be clear about that. Obviously, all of this is locked down with Microsoft Entra Active Directory permissions, right? So, pardon me, I've gone too far. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show that as well, right? So goodbye to you, and come over here. Let me see. I've just downloaded these into my Power BI subscription. It will take you 5 minutes, right? And then within Wiise, you just type in a URL where your Power BI connector is, and away you go. I'm probably underselling that. It'll probably take an hour of a consultant, but also it's really easy. So basically we have here, and I'm going to go through 3 of the main areas, but in fact, sorry, let me just come back. So we've got sales, we've got inventory evaluation, manufacturing, finance, purchase, and the one I don't have here, which is now available, is projects. So this is a really powerful tool, and you can see here the visualizations, the amount of information that we can actually get, and the number of dashboards is really quite astounding, right? In terms of sales by customer, I can come down here, you can go and select things and it will change. Everything is as Power BI should be. And can I also say, if you're probably like many customers that haven't gone into Power BI in the last couple of years, there's a lot that's changed. It's really is an enterprise level tool that is perfect for SMEs. So in terms of filtering, you can see here, I've just got my main sales dashboard. It has a full filter down here, which automatically pulls out dimensions, automatically pulls out things like customer posting groups. I can, with one click, do a breakdown by domestic customers, or maybe I want to do foreign, and you can see how responsive it is. right? It's a very valuable tool from that point of view. In terms of finance, it's Microsoft clearly spent a lot of time listening to customers about what they need, right? So liquidity KPIs, right? Things like current ratio, quick ratio, cash ratio, liquidity lines. I can come in here and you can drill down and you can change things like EBITDA, right? Again, I can come in here and everything is basically able to be drill downable. In fact, I might actually show an example of that if I come to accounts receivable and I can drill through and I can go through the customer ledger entries. So what I'm getting is not just a roll up, but Microsoft have built these to be able to go down to the specific transaction within Business Central and Wiise to be able to show that. And that is really valuable because you might be wanting to look at a financial overview like this at a high level, but if you're sitting in accounts payable or accounts receivable, you might want to drill down and go, well, hang on, what's made up that, right? And then, of course, you're seeing the filter the whole way through. So I can come in here and I can do it by customer. So it's incredibly valuable. And a lot of work has gone into it. I said just before that subscription billing is probably the biggest feature that they've released in the last decade. That lasted for 1 month because that was released last month and this has been released this month. This is by far Microsoft finally stepping up and going, okay, let's get serious about reporting. Let's get serious about analysis. It's clearly been a deficient issue for them and they've got all these great products. They just haven't been able to link them together and do something compelling. So that is the Power BI dashboard reports. Everyone should be using this. Like that's just a given. Doesn't matter what business you are. That's where it should be. And we're very excited about that. And we didn't even build it. So that's great. Now I will go in. Sorry, Al, over to you.
I know, just very quickly, I think it's fantastic, Hamish. And just to clarify, all customers have access to that now, or do they need to have been upgraded to Wiise 2.0 first?
2.0, Al. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's not an incentive, sorry, I should have clarified that. If that's not an incentive to get to 2.0, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. And pretty much all of our customers are either have been or are about to be migrated to 2.0, so that'll be moot. And just to sort of support your comments earlier, implementing Power BI without this is a somewhat heavy lift.
Yeah.
Because when you connect Power BI to any data source, you get nothing out of the box. You have to create all of your dashboards yourself. You have to think about what you want it to look like. Who's the audience, and there's quite a lot involved, and Power BI consultants, don't come cheap either.
No, they don't.
The fact that Microsoft have done so much of it, not just a few little things, they've actually done a lot, makes it very compelling. Yeah,
exactly. There were a lot of grumpy Power BI partners when this was announced at Directions. That's all I'll say. I get it, but also, Microsoft was always going to do this at some point, right? They're always going to get serious about it. Okay, I'm running over time, but people want to know what's under development right now. These are the features that are currently our guys are literally working on right now. There's a whole payment piece which I'll talk on. We're doing an NDIS for Wiise, so there's a whole piece of that. Warehouse on time. I've talked about most of the things coming in there, and also Copilot. Feel free to take a screenshot of that to keep me honest. I'm only showing that because I literally have workers. We have workers on it, working on it today, right? So, two main features. Just want to finish off on it. Wiise Collect. So we are sort of trying to close the cycle in terms of receiving payments and collecting money. So we are currently running an integration for Stripe payments. For those of you who are using our simplified product through CommBank, we want to go to something better. And Stripe is the world's biggest payment provider, right? And they are just a joy to work for, multi-country, multi-currency, a whole online wallet feature. But what we're doing is we're starting with getting a collection as an online payment system natively through Stripe, and we're building that right now. Access Connect, which is SIS data, which we currently do bank feeds with. This is their offering that also allows open banking as well. So we're bringing that in. We have actionable insights coming into the dashboards. So things like our banks, bank accounts feeds, showing sort of these insights directly from the front roll center. And then, of course, we're leveraging, frankly, Microsoft's feature, which is using Copilot for bank rec. And we also have some other bits and we're going to do there, but I can't tell you about that yet, but some exciting stuff. NDIS. So we are making a very concerted effort to improve Wiise for NDIS customers, right? We're making a number of changes within Wiise around financial management, product cataloging, the handling of remittances and automated bulk remittance matching, grant management, payment requests. We are integrating with NDIS plan management systems. We're enabling that through granting some new APIs so that plan management solutions can connect into us, because what we will never be good at is that plan management play, right? There are great pieces of software solutions out there that manage everything from, service bookings and qualifications of employees and all that kind of thing. But the other thing we're doing is we're building an aggregator API. So we are onboarding with the NDIS to be what's known as an NDIS data aggregator, which gives us authorized access to all their APIs. So our partners and customers can come to us and go, we've got a great idea for a feature that we could leverage off the NDIS APIs, and we will be a data provider for that. So we're very happy with that. I have talked way too long. I will try and answer questions as the rest of this day unfolds, but please, Al can get you guys to get in contact with me, because I love talking about this stuff and evangelizing it. We're very excited about all the stuff that we're doing. And Al, we love you as a partner. So at this point, I think I'll just hand back to you. And yeah, that's it for today.
Thank you, Hamish. Fantastic presentation, and great to see all the things that Wiise are doing. And even though just about everyone on the call would already know this, but Wiise is Business Central, but then with a whole stack of improvements and enhancements that Wiise have developed onto it. So the benefit is you get all the things that Microsoft are doing with the Business Central platform. And on top of that, you get all the things that Wiise are doing to extend it, enhance it, localize it for Australia and New Zealand. And that's why we've been so keen on it ourselves. So yeah, thanks, Hamish. So Momentum has a customer called Queensland Mine Rescue Service that have actually been in the news recently with a quite significant underground fire at a mine in the Bowen Basin. So you may have seen them mentioned in the news, and they're one of our more recent implementations of Wiise. So we have an interview with the executive business manager, Trent, who I spoke with a couple of days ago. So I'm here with Trent MacDonald from Queensland Mine Rescue Service. And Trent, thanks for joining us today to have a talk about your business and your journey with Wiise ERP. The first question I have for you is if you could just describe to us a little bit about what Queensland Mine Rescue does and how long the organisation has existed, etc.
Queensland Mines Rescue Service has existed since 1909. Originally, it was founded as a cohort, and then it has evolved into the organisation we know today. Queensland Mines Rescue Service is the accredited corporation under the Coal Mining Safety Act, and is the organisation responsible to respond to any underground emergencies for any coal mines in Queensland. All coal mining activities, anyone that operates a coal mine in Queensland must be a member of QMRS, and therefore our daily activities are training and preparing and simulating to be able to respond to emergencies, and making sure that people are equipped with not only the necessary training but as well the necessary equipment to be able to respond in the time of need.
Yeah, and you were in the news quite recently, just in the last few months. There was quite a significant underground fire at one of the mines in the Bowen Basin from Emery.
Correct. Our activities always highlighted during in the media when events happen, but yeah, we while that one's covered in the media, we respond to it a lot more than what people would realise.
Yep. And so from a software perspective, what software were you using before you implemented Wiise?
Prior to using Wiise, we were using Continia from Emery Software, which we had in place for a year after we had just changed from Attaché. So, but Continia was the immediate software prior to Wiise.
Yes. And what prompted the desire or need to move to another platform?
Continia is a great system. However, it required everything to be locally hosted on our own server infrastructure, and had limited integration abilities. So one of the key things that QMRS is trying to diverse into is automation and integration. So those two key criteria is where Wiise fit in quite well.
And so what were there any particular challenges that were arising, I guess, as a result of having an on-premise platform, aside from the integration?
That was the main issue, is the integration with the on-premises server. What we know is someone has created a piece of software, scripts, or some type of solution for almost every conceivable thing that you can think of. However, due to the limitations of the on-premises software, and as the platform isn't well integrated with other platforms, anything that we would need to do, such as leave management, had to be custom made. And that means that we would have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to recreate systems that literally already exist. As opposed to Wiise, where there's already a large amount of integrations of existing software that work with it. And then on top of that, it doesn't take much to integrate existing solutions with Wiise.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I guess a higher maintenance and or integration cost, or also, you know, examples where you perhaps couldn't achieve something at all because of that.
Right.
And tell us about the experience implementing Wiise. It's always a bit of a journey moving from one solution to another. So what was your experience throughout that project?
It was an experience, and we got there in the end. So all projects have challenges. What makes companies such as yours different is how they respond when things go wrong. And your team were up for the challenge. They were transparent and honest throughout the entire process. And 9 times out of 10, when something was discovered, they would tell me that they've already got the solution. They just wanted to hear my voice to say yes. So, yeah, I'm not going to say that it was easy. I'm not going to say that it wasn't hard. I've lost hair since it. So, but the thing is I'm not too concerned about what's going wrong. I care about the deadline and achieving that deadline. So, and your team were able to work within my way and view of things. So I don't want to point fingers. I don't want to do anything. I just want to achieve the goals. And your team were very quickly able to align with my management style.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks, Trent. And what are the main modules of Wiise? Because we've got various modules. Not everyone uses all modules. What modules are you using?
So accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, chart of accounts, jobs or projects that might be called, inventory, items management are the main parts that we use in Wiise on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, yep, that sounds logical. And from what I can understand, it's pretty important for you to be able to sort of budget and then track actuals to budget on a lot of your activities.
It is a KPI for me that I must manage it, and then not only manage it for internal stakeholders, but then I must report on it to external and senior stakeholders. So because it's a levy-funded organisation under the Act, budget is everything. And it's not a budget that we hope to achieve, it's a budget that we must achieve.
You have to achieve, yeah. Yeah. And are you doing that entirely through the general ledger and general ledger budgets, or project and project budgets as well?
Mixture of both.
Mixture of both, yeah. So some are more activity-based, which would be what the projects are for?
Yeah, the GL part is for our operating activities, so our OPEX budgets, where the jobs are helping us with our capital budgets.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And have you been able to what's improved from going through that journey to where you are now in terms of being able to easily produce those budgets and the reports that you need to produce regularly?
The information is a lot more accessible. It's a lot more live because we have, again, back to a key criteria of that level of integration with existing systems that we have, such as ProSpend and so forth. We're able to have that information synced via API extremely quick, therefore providing us extremely live and up-to-date information. And that's invaluable for us because our previous system, we wouldn't know where we're standing until 15 days until after the month, when we have finally got all the flat files imported and so forth. So Wiise is able to provide us that immediate information that we need very easily, and working with a provider like yourself, we're able to change what we need and how it's displayed relatively quickly at a much cheaper price than what we would have to do before. To provide contrast, you guys are doing reports now that are 1/40th of the cost of what we had to pay before.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And interesting that obviously, part of your motivation and need to change was the ability to integrate, and ProSpend is a good example. So do you mind just spend 30 seconds on what ProSpend, how you're using ProSpend, what you're using it for?
Sure. So ProSpend takes care of all of our accounts payable, all of our invoices automatically routed through the software. ProSpend helps us by using OCR technology to do all the data entry for us. And then that has taken our workforce from data entry to review and decision making. It also has built-in fraud detection and many other kind of various technological features that help us identify what is going on in the business with the invoices that come through. It also aligns our budgets in the software and provides us with purchase order abilities through mobile apps, which is important for an organisation like ours. So that's what we use it for in a day-to-day. And then all the information is synced with Wiise in one click.
Through the API, yeah. And it's great that you acknowledge that it enables your people to move from being, data entry focused people to more analytical and making sure things are, coded correctly to the right account, cost center, project, etc., and probably would reduce error rates as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, correct. Well, one of the key things from my learnings through my career is while things will always get busier and busier, I don't have any more resources. So at that point, we need software to do what it does best by taking simple tasks such as reading invoices and putting the data in, and allows humans to go from being droids on a keyboard to doing what humans do best and making decisions.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And what do you see the next 6 to 12 months looking like in terms of any sort of further deployment of Wiise or reporting expansion? What are your thoughts there?
We will change some of our reporting that we do on a monthly basis and how we contextualize that to the board now that we have the flexibility with the reporting that we do and the expertise of your team to be able to change that reporting and how we contextualize it to others. So a lot of the next 6 months is improving and updating our reporting to make things not only easier for us, but as well easier for other people to understand.
Yeah,
that's the motivation for the next 6 months.
Okay, fantastic. And finally, what new features or what would you like to see Wiise enable you to do that perhaps it might not yet?
You know, Wiise is an enormously large software, and you don't know what you don't know. And one of the things I would like to see is not actually a software thing or even a new feature. I'd like Wiise and Momentum or either to provide, we get provided onboarding training, which is great. What we don't get provided is training of what the system is capable of that we didn't know.
That you don't know.
We're shown what is relative to us, which is great. You know, otherwise you'll overload humans. But I don't know what the system's capable outside of what I do day to day. And to have intermediate or advanced training to look through the software holistically, regardless of what I do, but what is this capable of, would allow me to better utilize the system because I don't know what I don't know.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, great comment. Thank you, Trent. All right, thanks. Well, that's all the questions I had. Is there anything else you would like to mention to wrap up?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to make a specific mention to Glenda and Laura. Without their two assistants and dedication throughout the project, we wouldn't be where we are today. They went above and beyond. And when I say above and beyond, I'm not just saying they were doing their job. I mean that they really stepped in. Laura, more than anyone, has been specifically the ability for us to succeed and meet all of our deadlines and so forth. So those two individuals, a pat on the back. We would not have been as successful as we were without them. There was changes of people that we were dealing with throughout the project. There was unknown problems that occurred in light, and every single time those two stepped up to the plate. No one showed away or anything, and just dealt with the fact that there's a reality in front of them, and let's get it sorted. And that, to me, is invaluable. So thank you to both of those people, everyone else as well, but those particular people just, were really invaluable to us.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Trent. So thanks for your participation in that, Trent. Great sort of story. Probably quite a common journey that I think people would experience. Moving from one system to another is a bit of a journey, but as you know, I guess my summation on is immediately quite a bit of benefit. Obviously, that's the intention in various ways. And I think if we had that conversation with Trent again in another 6 to 12 months, will be a different conversation where, you know, some of those more advanced things are more embedded and reporting challenges are, you know, even further dealt with. So, I think that's quite a common journey that our customers go on with us. So next we have Glenda, who just received Trent's glowing praise. which is fantastic. And Glenda's going to be doing a live demo of some of the new features that Hamish mentioned earlier. Over to you, Glenda.
Thank you all very much, and thank you, Trent, for those wonderful words. So some of the features that I was wanting to share today is basically on a live demo. So going through the new searching tool, showing you how the access keys, the keyboard access keys work, drop and drag, or drag and drop multiple attachments, and some resizing of columns and information on the pages. And this is a 2.0 version, or version 25 of the Wiise deployments site. So basically, just wanted to start a little bit around some of the features that Hamish and Lex actually mentioned, and you can see from here the Wiise Insight has got the command center link. So in here, when you click on it, you can actually visit your dashboard in the command center. So if I click on that, it's actually going to open up the loading of the command center for you. I'm not going to go through these features, but I just wanted to show you that functionality is available there directly from the Wiise homepage. So doing a little bit of searching, how we search within the Wiise system. So if I go to, say, a customer list page, just taking a little bit of time to come up. So I can actually see I've got a whole list of customers in here, and I want to search for all my customers that have got the word got the word pipe in it. Okay, so up here in the search bar, I can click on the search field, and I want to show you that there's two different types of search. One is called the legacy search, which is the default search set up in the system, and the other one is the current modern search. So with a legacy search, it's basically if I want to type in ARM, AM, so starting to search through the system to show you words that contain ARM or AM in their search. If I type in the word fine, again, I'll find the different information. So the way the powerful search works, basically on a legacy search, is if I come back here to my item page, with using the legacy search here, if I type in London swivel chair, I can find it that way. If I type in chair, it'll show me all the list of chairs. But if I type in London chair, I get nothing. And that's where the difference between the two searches is happening. So if I clear that one out and I change over to my modern search feature, so now I've actually selected the modern search, and I can type in London and chair, and I get what I'm looking for. So that's the difference. It's actually looking at the two words and finding the information that you want to find. So that's what the difference is. So say, for instance, down here, if I find guest and blue, I can find my guest chair blue. That's where the power of the search feature has come into play. Another new feature is the drop and drag of the documents into a particular order. So say, for instance, I want to add in on this particular order, this graphic design institute. I want to add an attachment to that particular order. So in there, underneath the documents here, the section here, I can actually select here and I can upload a file. And this is my drop and drag screen. And if I pick up my just the sample documents here, I can actually pick up the PO and drop it into there, and it will automatically then attach to that particular document. You can also do multiple documents. So if I click here and I go upload files, And again, from my search screen, say for instance, I want to add both of these documents in, I can add 2 documents at a time. So that's a very powerful and very quick process for the documents to be added. You might be looking at this particular one at the top of the screen. This document extender is part of an add-in for Insight Works. So when we're looking to do the drop and drag, it's coming from this particular section. And in here, I can actually click on here and go show details. And it shows me the detail list of the actual documents that have been uploaded. I can then click on that and it will download the file and I can open the file. Another new powerful feature of this system is actually the sorting and resizing of columns. So you'll notice in here, I've actually got quite a bit of information set up, and I want to be able to sort my sort my vendors by ascending order. So I want to click on here, I'm going to drop down here, and I'm going to select ascending. So it's going to sort my suppliers in ascending order, and that will then stay for you in that position. Resizing of columns, again here, if I double click on my columns, it automatically then extends out to the actual wording that's on the system. So I can actually automatically resize my columns as well. If I've got a lot of columns on this page, then I've sort of got information that I need to see. I can resize my columns very, very easily. Another feature on the screen too is the fact that we've got this little section over on the right hand side where we can share information. So we can actually open a document in Excel or open information in Excel. We can use filters. This particular feature here is a really nice feature because it then allows me to say, I want to view my suppliers in a list page, or I want to show them as tiles. So I can actually show all of my suppliers in a tile base, or I can show them as a list page. This icon here allows us also to collapse the fact box that's just on the side of the screen. So if I click on that, I hide my fact box and I can put it back on. It's a very, very powerful set of information, especially here in the item cards. So information in the item cards, if I wanted to change for tiles, I could actually go for tall tiles, which shows me a display an image of the item, or I can have a small image of the items, or again, go back to my list page. Your fact boxes here are all very, very simply added. We've got our item attributes in the screen. The icon here on the side tells me that it's currently a bookmarked page to the role center. So basically my role center is here and my item lists are bookmarked in my role center. Another new set of information that I only came across myself just recently is the fact that you can actually see the feature list that's coming. So from your settings icon on the top right hand corner, you can actually go down here to the feature management, and you can actually see what new features are coming in to the system that would be beneficial to you, and when they're coming in. So if I expand the list out here, it tells me what features are coming in sort of what waves, so March 2025 to 26, what version that they're going to be coming in, and information if you want to try it out, and what's actually been updated or current company status, whether it's disabled. You can actually learn about these features as well. So for instance, if you wanted to learn about enable geocurrency revaluation, I can click on the Learn button and it automatically opens up the learning pages from my Business Central or Microsoft. Another feature that I wanted to show, if I just close that one down, is on a list page. So if I go back to my items, and I want to see different views of how I want to display my item list. So I can actually show different item lists underneath this icon here on the side. So it's to switch my view. And I've got a list of different views that have been saved to present. So I can actually see item quantities on my list page, and it presents a analysis view for you that's already generated. So you can actually see here, these are my items, my quantity on hand, what's on purchase, what's on order, and what's not invoiced quantity. So things there, that sort of information. So there are quite a lot of different views in here. Items due for count, negative item quantities, if you're running negative inventory. But yeah, quantity on purchase, what needs to be run based on analysis views. And another quick look to show you something that's I found very, very helpful is the Copilot. So basically here in Wiise, if I go back to the main page, you've got your Wiise Copilot here. And I select Wiise Copilot, and as Hamish demonstrated here, how, if I type in here, how to enter a purchase order. And it will show you the information on how to enter the purchase order.
That was quicker than me. Well done, Glenda.
Thank you. It's nice and handy. I must admit, it's really nice and handy. But the other thing that I found really, really good is, say, for instance, on the customers, for instance, the Copilot actually generates an analysis. So you can actually do an analysis list of Copilot. So here, show me the top 5 customers and generate. Okay, so it's showing me, oh, and that's because I've got that on, of course. Let's just, there we go. So I've just refreshed that, my top 5 customers again, and I can save that. That's showing analysis 1, top 5 customers. So these are by balance. Cut that out. Turn that off again. Create a new one. So I just asked it to show me the top 10 sales for the year, and that's my list of customers. So that's a very, very powerful tool that's already embedded within Wiise itself now. Go back to my list page. The final part of what I wanted to show today was in relation to using the keyboard. A lot of data entry people are very keyboard orientated instead of mouse orientated. So to do that, the Wiise and Microsoft have developed a large range of functions for keyboards. So if I click on the Alt key on the keyboard, it shows me the shortcuts that I need to access. So say, for instance, I want to open a purchase order. I want to go to the purchase order list. So I simply type in JP, and then it automatically drops down the purchase order submenu, and I can type in O and I'll get my purchase order list. From there, if I use my arrow keys, I can go down to different purchase orders, and I can hit the enter key and select. And it automatically opens up the purchase order that I was on. And if I want to move from the vendor name down into the next, into the line tabs, all I need to do is press on F6. And what that does is it moves me between the fast tabs, which is these different sections of the screen. So if I press F6 again, it'll go down to my invoice details. F6 again to my shipping. And if I type in Alt F6, use the Alt key and F6, that will actually open up the shipping pane. Again, Alt F6 will close it up again for me. And if I go Shift F6, it takes me back to where I want to be. If I want to add a new line in, I simply arrow down, I can tab across, and I want to use the same reference as the line above. So to do that, it's simply F8, copy the cell above and press tab, and the information automatically flows through. That's just some of the new key features that have come from, and some of the older key features as well that have come across from using Wiise and Microsoft. I don't have too much more. We'll probably spend hours going through all of that. Al, there is one screen I think you've got there to show. And basically this is the Business Central shortcut menu, so that you can actually print this out, and shows you all of the different combinations of shortcut keys on the keyboard. And I know a lot of people use keyboard shortcuts. I know I come from a data entry background, so keyboard shortcuts for me are really, really handy. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Glenda, and totally agree. I can't quote the statistics, but I did see a time and motion study many years ago that highlighted the difference between moving your hand from the keyboard to the mouse to move to a part of the screen and then back again, compared to using keyboard shortcuts. And if you add that up over a day per person, and then by obviously weeks and months, it is a massive amount of time. So even though it's a little bit old school, it actually is a very useful thing to become familiar with. Finally, we want to introduce Richard from Continia, and I won't steal any of your thunder, Richard, but Momentum are resellers of the Continia solution. We have a number of customers using it, and hopefully some of our other customers on this call are interested to know what you've got to show them. So over to you, mate.
Right. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Yes, we can go to the next slide, please. I, as well, could talk for hours about this. I've got a slide deck here, which normally we spend a lot longer on, but we'll skim through this, but I think a copy of the slides will be going out to you. So I'm a senior solution specialist for Continia. I'm based in New Zealand, but I'm currently over in WA. And just a little bit of background about Continia. We've been around since 1997. We've always worked with the NAV solution and the Navision solution, and obviously now Business Central, very, very close to Microsoft. Just like Wiise, you know, and we're complementary to the Business Central solution and also complementary to the Wiise solution. So there's no overlaps there. We can maybe go to this next slide. Yeah, so just having a look at some of our numbers. We have 18,500 customers worldwide with one or more of our solutions. We estimate that there's probably 40,000 Business Central installations worldwide, so we're doing well there. But in Australia and New Zealand now, we find that pretty much every Business Central sale goes along with at least one of our solutions. Just looking at the number of employees, 158 employees, so about 70% of them are in development. development, so we're always pushing ahead with development, and we've got 1,800 partners, so we work through partners like Momentum. So we can maybe move to the next slide. We have 5 solutions in this region. Document capture, so that's the full AP automation, processing, OCRing invoices, and so on. I'll talk more about that later. Expense management for capturing and processing people's expenses when they're on the road and handling corporate credit card transactions and so on. Document output. And what document output does is it fills in the gaps really with distributing documents. Microsoft's not great, or Business Central isn't great on that front. So, we fill the gaps there. Then we have a brand new finance solution. And that finance solution I like to talk about, it's really a lot of, the others are true solutions, which are aimed to work on sort of big issues, whereas the finance solution is a lot of small widgets, if you like, which improve a lot of aspects of the life of the finance team. And then finally, the most exciting one for me is our sustainability solution. So just talking about numbers again on here. So with document capture, year to date, we've processed for our customers around the world, we've processed 133 million invoices. And on expense side, we've processed 77 million expenses. So we can go to the next slide. Our solution is totally built inside Business Central, just like Wiise. There's this traditional approach here on the left where you can buy these add-ons which sort of sit outside of Business Central. If we can just go to the next animation there, our approach is actually that everything's inside Business Central. So all of the application, all of the processing, all of the logic, all of the data actually lives directly inside Business Central. And next slide, please. So I'm going to start with Continia Document Capture. So this is really just a chapter beginning. So if we go on to the next slide where I can talk about why people purchase document capture. Traditionally, people would be buying, and if you can bring up the next 2 boxes on there as well. Traditionally, people will buy document capture to automate their accounts payable, just their invoicing side of processing. So capturing, OCRing and capturing invoices inside Business Central and matching those to purchase orders. And we improve the approval process as well in that area. But more recently, we've added the ability to capture purchase orders. So if someone sends you a sales quote, you can turn it into a purchase order. If they revise it, you can update the purchase order using OCR technology. And when you get a delivery document, you can scan that delivery document and it will update the quantity to receive in your purchase orders as well. And then on the flip side, we also allow people to send in purchase orders, PDFs of purchase orders, or electronically send in purchase orders, and that will create sales orders inside Business Central. So it's a very, very powerful solution. We can go to the next slide, please. And we'll skip over that one because I'm short on time and just go to this document flow. And yeah, there should be, that's all of the boxes. Yeah. So we take paper invoices and people can scan and send those off to be OCR'd. We accept emails and we also expect electronic invoices, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But the basic process here is that these documents come in, they get scanned in the by our AI based OCR scanner in the cloud, and then they get on this right hand side where we can see document capture. That's also inside Business Central. You just process the documents from inside Business Central. Next slide, please. Looking at the approval flow, people can either approve these documents inside Business Central or on our web approval portal. And our web approval portal is actually just a screen scrape of Business Central. It is directly connected to Business Central. It's not a separate system, still built inside, but it's just a different way of looking at the data. And when they're doing these approvals, they can approve invoices or credit memos or contracts, which is a new functionality that we've added. They can approve expenses if they have an expense management solution. So it's a one-stop shop for approving everything in that web approval portal. If they're multi-company, they can approve across multi-company as well. See all of those expenses there. And next slide. And looking at the approval flow, we're looking at Continia Expense Management, sorry. Continia Expense Management enables people who are on the road to just, if they want a cash reimbursement, they can take a photograph on their phone, as we've done here, and they've got a receipt there. We'll OCR that receipt, and it'll recognize that this is your Visa card because it's seen it before. It'll recognize it's accommodation because you've recorded accommodation for this type of receipt before, and it'll pick up the description and the currency and the dollar amount for them. So for a cash reimbursement, all they do is take a photograph of it like this and submit it. For corporate, if we can go to the next slide. And we'll skip one more over this one. We'll go to the architecture slide. So on this architecture slide, you can see here that the transactions in that bottom right-hand corner can come in on a corporate credit card. They come to Business Central. The Business Central transactions go out to the user. The user can then add the receipt and the transactions can come back in. We also handle mileages. We'll also give the expense users a reminder as well. In finance, the BC user then is seeing all of the expenses. So this isn't a standalone system. This is actually built inside. So everything to do with the expense, whether it's with the user, whether it's with the approver, the finance user can see that. And let's go on to the next slide. Our document output solution, and we'll go on to the next slide again, please. Our document output solution really fills the gaps where Microsoft has left some gaps, basically. So doing things like if you have sold some fertilizer and you're sending out a sales invoice and you want to attach a material safety data sheet or append that to your invoice. If you've got terms and conditions, you always want to append to your invoice. We do those sorts of things. We put watermarks based on the dimensions on the invoice. We can put a watermark behind the document that goes out. But the best thing about it is that if you're sending out statements, we will look at all the invoices and all the credit memos that are on the statement, and then we can go and read them, bundle them up, and send them as a zip file. So you'd send the invoices and credit memos as usual during the month, or you'd use document output to automate the sending for you. But then at month end, you can just send them another copy. So they get their statement and they get all those invoices and credit notes. Next slide. E-invoicing is not a solution on its own, but it does it's built into both our document output and document capture. So this is ready for Australia and New Zealand now. And if we go to this slide here, you can see that it's handles all types of documents. So there's a new standard called PEPL and another one called PINT coming up. And we handle all of those types of transactions just automatically. No intervention required. The documents, just when you post an invoice, the documents go through the network, and when someone invoices you, they just arrive in document capture for you to work on. And next slide, please. Continia Finance is a bunch of new, as I said, a bunch of new widgets. If we go on to the next slide, we can see a list of some of those. And I'd encourage you, actually, next slide again. I'd encourage you to go and have a look at our website. So if you just search for Continia.com, you can see on our website all these types of things that we add in here. There's some great stuff around installment payments and particularly around that fixed assets area as well. And in the bottom right hand corner, there's a list of essential ones which you just get for free. So you can download our app and deploy it in Business Central, and then you can use those things for free. These other ones in the bigger boxes here, there's a charge for those. Next slide. Yeah, lastly, I was going to talk about continuous sustainability. And so we're seeing everywhere now the requirement for sustainable reporting for reporting on your carbon emissions. Just move to the next slide. And you'll start to hear about reporting at Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3. We've built all this type of reporting inside Business Central now. So we will, if you go to the next slide, yep, just those are the animations and are gone again. And we'll go one more slide as well, because I am short of time. So what we can see here is that the on this last page here, we comply to the greenhouse gas protocol. And if I look particularly in that data import area, you'll hear that Microsoft have been doing some work in sustainability, but we're doing far, far more than they are. So we can pick up all of the carbon equivalent emissions from either GL accounts, item ledger entries, credit memos, expense management, and document capture as well. So that's probably the briefest summary I've ever done of our products. But we're more than willing to spend some time with you, or maybe come back on another day and talk for longer on that.
Thanks, Richard, and appreciate you skipping through that and giving us your elevator pitch. I will say that it's a very comprehensive suite of extensions, and one of the things that I really like about it is, other than Richard telling us it's a third-party solution, you wouldn't really know because it's embedded in the Business Central system, which means from a implementation, training perspective, things become much more seamless, and the user experience as well. And the other thing is that all the billing is through Momentum, so you're really only dealing with an existing provider, and we partner with the subject matter experts at Continia in areas that we need assistance with. So fantastic brief presentation, Richard, but I'm sure some of the people on this call and our broader customer base will be talking to us and we'll be talking to you. So that's time on our planned agenda this morning. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us. Hopefully you found it very informative. Great job on the training, Glenda. Thanks to you, Hamish, for your insights into what's coming. And feel free to fire away with any questions if you have them. I'll stay online for a minute or two. And as I mentioned at the outset, we will be providing the recording so that you can share some of this information with your broader teams as well.
Got a question for Wiise. Trent speaking from Queensland Mines Rescue Service.
Oh, Jesus, I better get this right, Trent. You've just given the interview.
Looks like Microsoft has now put me 6 months ahead with the Big I reports, and a contractor is now not getting paid a substantial amount to do what they've already done. So that means I can move on to my next project since these new features are coming through, which is fantastic. The fact that they've thought about drilling down for when you need to know those details is something that is where it gets more complicated, and it's depending on who you are. For me, I always get asked questions, what does this mean? So to be able to drill down and tell them is invaluable to me. But a lot of the software providers that work with your system provide us very easy ways of doing things. But one of the things I've noticed is the Wiise platform / Business Central has a great workflow approval part built in, which I haven't learned how to utilize the best yet. The problem is in our particular circumstance, which might not be the rest for everybody else, we have an extremely mobile team, meaning that for a lot of the approvals that we do for our workflows, 90% of it is done on a mobile device, iOS or Android. And in my experience, doing the approvals through your workflows on a mobile device isn't exactly the easiest thing to achieve. And I was just trying to see if maybe Microsoft have thought about making that a more mobile-friendly process in the future.
They are. And I'm just going to shout out to Richard. I went over time. Richard's product is bloody great and continue have a great approval system for their use cases. Now, sorry, back to you. Yes, Power Automate, right? So Microsoft, some of those Power App things I showed before, Power Automate is a way to basically link in and automate workflow approvals on a thing like a mobile device, right? Out of the box, not a lot there, but maybe we can have a chat, Trent, because we've actually got this innovation agile team looking for ideas to use that Power Platform stuff. But Microsoft has certainly started to put in the tools to allow you to do that outside of the product, right? Because the BC's web is rubbish, like on a mobile, frankly. It's just not built that way. But the Power Apps absolutely look good on mobile and are more mobile friendly. So Yeah, why don't you and I have a chat at some point, and we can talk about it.
And you might like to link me back in then as well, because maybe our web approval portal will fit. It depends what what you're trying to.
Let's probably have momentum in the chat as well, because we've already done some stuff around Power Automate for others. So it'll just be what suits best for your use case scenario, Trent. I'm sure between the three parties we can come up with anything.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
All right, it doesn't look like there's too many other questions. So sorry, go ahead, Glenda.
Sorry, there's a couple of questions in the Q&A. Do all customers go straight to 2.0 from Chris Cohen?
Yes. Yeah, I responded to Chris there. Oh, sorry, you're the partner, but yeah, we're not onboarding any new customers on the Wiise 1.0.
Okay, that's fine. So yes, our upgrades are in process. I got to tell you that. And there was another question here from Alistair Richardson at Armadillo. Can Wiise Customer Portal be embedded into their own website?
Generally, yes. So it's just a Power Pages. You can link it in without knowing the specifics. Al, I saw you respond. I'll let you probably go and find the details. But yeah, it should be fine.
The answer is it depends.
Yeah, it
depends
is.
on what your existing website is built on. So yeah, we'll circle back to you, Alistair, on that question. All right, I think we'll wrap it up. Thanks everybody for attending. Thank you to the presenters, and we'll circulate the recording to everybody shortly. Thanks very much.